Alright guys, we are going to be doing some maintenance to this bike. This is the Elite 80. So on this bike, it needs new front and rear tire and an oil change. So we're going to figure out how to remove this because it's a little bit different than what I'm used to. The tires themselves have plenty of thread, but the problem is there's dry rotting on the side. So that pretty much renders them useless. So the first thing we have to do is remove this plastic cover, and this is a 8mm, but you have to get one of the smaller sockets, and I have just a converter, but you have to get an 8mm in here and remove that. So let's go ahead and remove that. So that exposes this side. Let's go to the other side. 8mm should be fairly easy to remove. All right, so this part, by the way, you pull it out like this. There's a little metal piece, and that goes into the slot here of the plastic. On this side, we have a 19mm breaker bar. Then you put another socket over here. You have here is a 14mm. Using a 19mm on this side, and then a 14 on the other side. You need to. There we go. Unless you hear that, that means that it's coming apart. So, just gonna hold the axle and let's undo this. And let's see if I can. So here comes that nut. This is a 19mm. Put it aside. Squeeze this axle right through the wheel. Sometimes you have to hold up the wheel to relieve some of the tension. And you should just be able to slide it out. Lift up on the tire and remove. This needs some grease. And there we go. On this side, there is a spacer. We have our drum brake here. Pull the caliper to the side and just kind of squeeze it out, and it should come out. You should inspect this. There is grease on the speedo itself. We're gonna lay it down like this. Here is the tire. This is actually pretty easy because there is no brake on it, so it's easy to kind of lay down and work. So the way to know that this tire is bad is all of these little cracks on the side. Normally, once it starts to get cracks, it's pretty much over. You don't want to ride it with it. These tires are very inexpensive, and this is the original tire that came on that bike. So very old, and rubber degrades over time. So this is a valve stem tool, and the way this works is that you put this part into the valve and you counterclockwise remove that stem, and it just kind of pours all the air out counterclockwise. And make sure you hold on to this because that valve will want to pop out. A few tools. I have some tire levers. I do like these with the handles. It does help a lot. These are kind of short. You can get some big ones, which I am saving up for. And right here, it's just a brush with some soapy water. And what I like to do is just kind of slather it on. Look at your tire lever. There's this curved up section. It really matters which way you use it to remove the tire. So I'm going to use it facing up, and I'm going to go to my edge here, and I'm going to just push down the tire. And I'm going to do that for the circumference of the tire. Just going to go around like this, and then take another tire lever with it facing down. And you want to kind of counter what you're doing. So I'm pushing up on this, and this one I'm pushing down. So I'm just kind of doing this. You see how it's already broke the bead, and breaking the bead means just coming off the rim. So that's pretty much one side of it done. So that was record time for me. Now we're just going to flip it over. These scooter tires are almost like bicycle tires. It's easier to do. So once I push it all the way down, I'm going to come to this side, and I'm going to flip it this way. And now I'm going to push up while pushing down on the other one. Moving this, I'm using quite a few of these tire levers, but I just made a weird discovery. This is actually using tubes. So this is not a tubeless design, which is kind of odd. I've always assumed that even my scooters were tubeless, and this is extremely stiff. Extremely stiff. So let's go ahead and just keep working our way. So it's actually harder to remove than other scooters I've had. The tube, look at this. Okay, I'm just gonna pull it aside because I don't want to damage this tube. I don't have another tube. So this is a good way to remove the tire off the rim. Start it with a tire lever like this, and then take a big bar. This is actually specific for changing tires, and this kind of helps you push and put a lot of force in that, and then you can just take the air and it should come out. Point. There we go, and there is the tire and rim. What I have here is a stem. This is a tubeless stem. The way I did it is using a clamp like this. I put my tire lever on. I'm gonna put it like this, and then I'm gonna just kind of put it here and undo this. Because it doesn't use spokes, so okay. More on the right side. Kind of came out. Front and rear, they're 10 inches. So that means that the drum side is on the left of the bike, so you have to make sure that it's going the right way. So this is the right side, this is the left side. So it's gonna face this way. That means that the rim is gonna enter from here. But before we do that, this is where we use the soap, and the soap is gonna help us put the rim very easily onto the tire. This tire is definitely a lot softer than the tire that was on the bike. The tire that was on the bike has been sitting, it's been there for ages, so that's what happens with tires. Anything with oil and rubber becomes stiff and breaks. There we go, that's one side. Let's flip it over. And now we have to get this side in there. So, and definitely helps to have plenty of liquid everywhere. Let's take this. So at this point, you kind of want to push down on this side. Just get it off the rim, or like the bead. You don't want to sit it on. That way it's going to help you stick it on a little bit easier. It helps to do this on the floor as well. Okay, see, it's already wanting to go in. So I'm gonna hold it like this with my arm. Just gonna push it down. This is the part that's a little harder. You should actually use your foot. I usually use my foot for this, but I have it on the table today. Ah, man, it just does not want to go in. So let's see if this will go in. Hey, there we go. So now let's put it into the bead and fill it up with air. Let's figure it out. There we go. It is inflating. We should hear a pop. There we go. The pop. That is good. It seems to be holding air, but this is not popped yet, so we need to put plenty of air. There we go. It's in there, but I think there's quite a bit. It's not leaking, so this is actually kind of incredible. Okay, and I'm at 40 something, which is too much. Let's look at the tire pressure here. 36 psi cold, so let's put it at 36. 35, yeah, that's it. So we're at 35 psi. But that's a great mod. I can't believe that this had a tube in there. That's incredible. All right, so we made a pretty darn good upgrade on the scooter. I had no idea. I had one. I'm not really gonna show you guys how to do all of this. The only thing you should be concerned with is greasing the axle when you put it in. Waterproof grease here. I'm gonna put some in the drive or axle that does not have any grease, and we're gonna add some grease on the axle. And you're gonna have to hold the axle from spinning with a 14 millimeter. Okay, not exactly sure. I guess they did this more for aesthetics because there's really no point to this.
When it comes to this gangster shit, you motherfuckers know who run it. We standing up for our own shit. And if you want this motherfucker to the test, you gotta realize something, nigga. You fucking with the very bitch. I got this killer up inside of me.
Kind of stuck here. The cops won't bother me.